And on this episode of the LPDS, we play a little catch up on life in the LPDS universe, talk about some stuff that's been going on the past couple weeks with LPDS current events and what have yous. We'll get that at all in the Junction. And of course, as always, a tremendous Cage fact. All that's coming at you right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's a show that talks about nothing but tries to find the lessons in everything and have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. The past couple weeks for me have been a bit of a roller coaster of sorts, and we'll get into most of that in the Junction, but a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of stuff to catch up on. As you know, I was road tripping, so it's been a while since I recorded last. So a lot has happened in that couple weeks span because I kind of, I batch recorded to make sure I had epis out there for all the fans each week. But I don't always record every week because of life. So a lot to catch up on, a lot going on. Can't get into all of it. Don't want to get into all of it, really. Not that I can't. It's just, it's unimportant stuff. So we'll stick to the good stuff and the fun stuff and the what have yous. But I hope everybody had a good week otherwise. It was Valentine's Day last week. It is my number one most hated holiday. Number two is New Year's. They were neck and neck for a while, but New Year's is becoming an excuse for me to spend an off day with either family or friends, which I've always had in the past. I just didn't see it that I didn't really appreciate that. I guess you can say appreciate that it was an excuse. You get off from work, and it's an excuse to go spend some time with important people in your lives and have a good time. So that's the only good thing I like about New Year's is that it's a day off. With that, Valentine's Day has now eclipsed New Year's as the number one worst holiday. And it's not because I'm anti-love and because I'm single. I've been in relationships during Valentine's Day. And newsflash, I still hated it. But I'm not anti-love. I don't like what Valentine's Day is. And you can't tell me otherwise. If we could, and we could debate this, I'd love to have somebody on or at least call on the hotline if they want to debate this or bring in a different point of view. I'd love to hear that and we can discuss it. But my take on it, which has been the same for a long time now, is that Valentine's Day is just a commercial, corporate consumerism holiday. And the people that believe it's the time you need to express your love for your significant other and show them how much you appreciate them are I don't want to say brainwashed, but they bought into that hype, that propaganda from from big corporate, from big Valentine's Day, from Big Cupid. That's what it's about, and that you need to go and do something to show your love for your significant other. Here's what I don't like about that. Besides the fact that it's clearly a Big Cupid ploy to get you to spend more money on their shit. And even the restaurants and stuff have also co-opted this now because they price gouge the hell out of people because they know they're going to come and make reservations, so we could price gouge them. And everybody does it. It's not, there's no discounts on Valentine's Day. Everything gets marked up even higher. Candy, flowers. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com and try to order flowers. Good luck. Unless you're rich or you're pissing away your savings. So that's, besides the fact that that's that obvious like push from Big Cupid to get you to spend more money, that mindset of, oh, you have to do this to, if you really care about me and love me, you'll do this for me. What are you doing for them? What kind of relationship is that where the expectation is one person does something to prove their love on Valentine's Day, but the other person doesn't have to? And if that first person doesn't, then this person gets mad and they're justified to get in getting mad? How does that make sense? And I don't understand. I guess because the propaganda by Big Cupid has been so effective that they're not worried that causing that emotional attachment to this holiday, I guess they're not concerned that is not going to cause rifts in relationships and break relationships up, which will in turn, drop the consumerism down. I guess they're not worried about that. I guess they're like, now these people are so far in, no guy or gal is going to break up with their significant other because they don't want to participate in Valentine's Day. It's not going to end relationships enough for us to stop what we're doing with flooding the market with propaganda and price gouging. They're pretty confident in their abilities to keep the relationships together enough to get that money out of them. And I know it makes me sound like a cheap, frugal miser, an Ebenezer Scrooge, if you will, but that's the other guilt trip that you get. Oh, it's, all you care about is money. You shouldn't care about the money. You should care about showing your love for your partner. Shut up. How about that? Okay? I show my love for the important people in my life every chance I get. I don't need an assigned day that you have to do it or else. This is the only day you have to do it. Otherwise, you don't have to do it. You should be doing stuff like that all the time in a relationship, in an equal, loving relationship. Flowers are sold all year round, folks. Chocolates are sold all year around. Believe me, I buy them all the time. I have a fridge full of chocolates. I get flowers all the time for people in my life who like flowers. I personally don't like them, as you know. I don't really like any plant that doesn't produce a vegetable or a fruit. Yeah, sure, they look nice, but I'm not spending that much effort or money just for look nice. I'm not a look nice guy. Look at me. Do I look like a look nice guy to you? Forget about it. But if somebody in my life likes flowers and they're important, they're in the inner circle of the LPDS, yeah, I'll get them flowers. No problem. Not even going to be annoyed about that. You like what you like. But that shit's available all year round. And in my personal opinion, my 1 cent opinion, when it comes to a loving relationship with somebody, a significant other type, both parties should be doing stuff like that all the time. You never stop dating your partner. You should never stop dating your partner. No matter how long you've been together. I know it gets tougher as the days and the months and the years go on that you're together. You become so comfortable with each other. I get it. I understand the reality of that. But maybe put a Post-it note somewhere that you see every day. Never stop dating your partner. And you could be reminded of that. You can do that stuff. You could go on dates together. You could do fun shit together solo. Maybe get a babysitter for the kids one day. Maybe if your wife or husband likes flowers, you you get flowers sent to their office or something like that, or chocolates or what have you, little notes. Doesn't have to be every day, but just something every once in a while to let them know, hey, you're still like, we're still in this together, baby. We're still doing the damn thing. And you certainly don't need a corporate big Cupid holiday to mandate this sort of level of effort in a relationship. It's stupid. It is a lower level of the wedding industrial complex in my mind, and what marriage and what weddings have become, where you have to spend exorbitant amounts of money to show this is my special day, so we have to go all out. I don't care if we have to file for bankruptcy or lose our house or never be able to go on vacation, never be out of debt because of it. This is just a lower level of that, because you really shouldn't be having to file for bankruptcy for Valentine's Day. But it's a lot. It's a chunk out of your paycheck for all the stuff that some people expect of you and mandate out of you. And for what? Something that you could do, you could literally do it the day before and the day after. And you're being smart about it. I guess this is the separation here. The logic from the emotion. But in my stupid, crazy brain, I guess, why can't you have both? Why can't you be smart, but also be in tune to the emotional importance of caring about your partner and showing affection and love? You could do both. And it doesn't have to be on this stupid day. And there are so many people out there who get sad and depressed because they're single and they don't have someone to do Valentine's Day shit with. And they've got to the point where it's become one of those things, they care so much about that, they'll go be in a shitty, toxic relationship just so it crosses through Valentine's Day, and they can post about it and tell everyone, oh yeah, we did Valentine's Day. We did all the checkbox stuff that people care about on the internet only. And when in reality, behind the curtain, it's all fugazi. It's all rubbish. It's a shit relationship. I'm not having any of it. I'm not having any of it. And I'm not here to be the curmudgeon about Valentine's Day to the people who enjoy it. Go off if you want. I recommend being smart about it. Don't break the bank for one stupid day. But my significant other and I, we're not going to do that shit. Okay? I'm not spending the equivalent of 2 plane tickets to the beach somewhere on one day for flowers, chocolate, and a dinner at Ruby Tuesdays. I'm sorry. We're going to go fly down to the beach instead on a different timeline, a different day. That's another thing I don't understand. How can we get through to some of these people? Hey, if I don't do anything stupid on this stupid fake holiday, all this extra time and money could be spent on something even better. We could go on a vacation together. How does that not show I care and love you? I don't get it. And that's what Big Cupid has done. They separated the logic from the emotions. You know, a house divided among itself cannot stand. Abe Lincoln. That's what they did. They divided the house internally to create this mess. Well, we're not having it. We're not buying it here at the LPDS. So happy Valentine's Day to all you suckers out there who pissed away half your paycheck on stale roses and the salad bar at Ruby Tuesdays. Because you couldn't get into a nice restaurant because it was booked up for weeks in advance, or you had to pay $1,000 just to grease the wheels of the hostess or the maitre d' or the what have you. Forget about that. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. With that said, we are back in Texas at the LPDS compound, the LPDS ranch. And I'm very excited to be back, but I'm also, I miss my family every time I leave. I love my family, but I'm also very much missing the less responsibility of being up. I had additional roles and responsibilities, but I had help. I had the team there, Crazy Carol and JPL3, and sometimes Sticks, although Sticks is a very conditional helper. He needs cutlets. He needs, meatball subs. He needs something you gotta grease the skids on Sticks to get him to help the team out, of course. He's he should join Dom Delapino's union. He's a union guy. That's what he is. He's a union guy. I help you if you help me. So, but I do miss the help. I'm here, it's just me and Randy, alone and unafraid. And I got a whole bunch of crap to do around the house I've been playing catch up on. I started getting the tomatoes, though. The tomato plants. This is crazy, right? I unearthed the plants the weekend before Christmas. Actually, a couple days before that, before I left, that weekend before Christmas, right before I left for New Jersey in December. And now we're in February, and we're already planting seeds again. Now, they're in the garage. I put them outside when it's a little warmer out to get some natural sunlight and to get weather and atmosphere ready. But then I bring them inside. I got the UV light on them. And it's something I learned last year to do because the year prior to that or previous times, I've put them in climate-controlled. I put the seed pots in climate-controlled areas. And then when I brought them outside, it was tough to keep them surviving because they weren't used to the atmospheric conditions of the outside weather. So we're doing better, and we're starting earlier now, which I love because now the tomato and the pepper conversation never ends. This is a great thing about living in the South here, is if you're a tomato and pepper lover, there's always going to be stuff to do with tomatoes. If you're like the wet cat, no tomatoes. He said it time and time again, no tomatoes. Got it. But I love them, and I'm ready for them. So we got the seeds in the pots. I separated the seeds a little bit better so that they don't create the big clumps of 5 or 6 stalks, so that I can separate the plants better around the property. And then I can have a little bit more of an effective, ability to prune the plants and harvest the tomatoes and get them early and often. And that's the goal. Look, minor improvements each and every year. And before you know it, we're going to be in serious business here, folks. Serious business. And that's something I've learned a lot more recently, or over the past probably year and a half to 2 years, is the end goal is not done immediately. It's not an all or nothing situation. Okay? We have an end goal to have a annual flourishing garden of tomatoes and peppers and maybe some additional stuff in the future to be able to make sauce and make hot peppers and do all the good stuff that I enjoy doing. But it doesn't happen overnight. I can't just plant plants and then in one season, that's it. I got the perfect garden situation. And I thought that was always the case when I looked at my father's garden and my grandfather's gardens and seeing how they plant and then they get fruit and vegetables. And it was like, how does this happen? And every year they just plant and they get stuff. Plant and get stuff. And I wasn't getting shit. But now I know. It's because they did the work. They learned the lessons. They made the incremental improvements. I'm learning as I go that not only is that the way to do it, it's the way I actually prefer now doing things. I used to think it was a pain in the ass to have to learn things the hard way, if you will. But I'm starting to consider that to be not the hard way. That's more like the preferred way. Yeah, it's slower and it's frustrating when you put a lot of effort in and you don't get tomatoes. But you learn the shit. And then the next year you get a little bit better. And the next year you get a little bit better. And then before you know it, I'll have tomatoes so goddamn good, even Wet Cat's gonna want a taste of the tomatoes. And he hates tomatoes. He's a no tomatoes guy. And that's fine. I'm not gonna jam it down to someone. I'm gonna force tomatoes on him. But I'm telling you, I'm gonna get so goddamn good at this stuff that he's gonna look at them. He's gonna be like, I have to try it. I have to try it. This guy is onto something. That's part of the goal. That's one of the goals. So, long story longer, that's what we're doing with the tomatoes. We got them planted. We're learning new things. We'll see how it shakes out. Now, while the seeds are growing and cultivating, now I'm composting. I'm adding more compost and fertilizer to the land that I'm going to be planting in. And that's another thing that you do all year round. And that's something I actually learned from Big Farm. Because they rotate crops, because if they plant on the same field every season, it doesn't give the land enough time to rehack its nutrients. Replenish. That's the word, not rehack, you jabroni. Replenish the nutrients and the fertilizer and the stuff that makes the plants grow, that the plants feed off of. So they rotate crops because they got big fields, so they rotate. I don't rotate. So I had to bring the nutrients back to life myself. And that's with fertilizers, that's with different composts during different times of the year. Getting the weeds out of there so the weeds aren't sucking up the nutrients. Keeping the squirrels out so they're not planting nuts in the ground and taking nutrients. And it's a whole process. It's a whole ecosystem that we're living in here. And I enjoy it because the fruits of my labor come to fruition. No pun intended. Come to fruition. And I get to actually enjoy, the results of that hard work. And I'm excited too because I didn't bring them with me. I got them in the refrigerator, in the freezer. Excuse me. I'm not bringing them over here to show you on YouTube land, but I'm excited that I have enough crushed tomatoes from this past year's season to make a sauce. And I'm gonna make that sauce, and I'm gonna show you guys here when I do it. And if the creature's around, he'll taste test the sauce and let everybody know how it is. And I didn't do a whole video sort of diary of this. I probably should have. But as you know, I was tomatoes towards the end there, where I was harvesting all those tomatoes, and I said I'm going to try to turn them all red. I had over 100+ tomatoes in a box that I put in bags, and I put bananas in there because the stuff and the acids and the shit in the bananas as they rot ripens the tomatoes. It turns them red. And you got to put them in a bag in a nice warm area. I got every single one of those tomatoes red except for 3. Except for 3. Now, the tomatoes are small because they weren't on the vine long enough to grow bigger. So I didn't get pots and pots and gallons of crushed tomatoes to work with. I got enough for one pot, which is way more than I could have asked for this go. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to progress in this season, this upcoming tomato season. And I hope you are too. Even if you're a no tomatoes guy, you're excited to hear about it, hopefully. Anyway, with that, we'll get into the good stuff. We'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Vern's at-home vasectomy kit. Are you active in the bedroom and don't perform well when you sleeve up, but also are running out of wire coat hangers? Then get yourself a Vern's vasectomy kit and stop the stream today. Vern's is an all-in-one kit that provides you everything you need to cut off your seam stream at the source once and for all. Coming fully equipped with some numbing cream, certified pre-owned stitching cord, and a sterile prison shiv custom sharpened for the procedure, Vern's has you covered and guarantees no more slipping any past the goalie. So to get your vasectomy kit today, visit www.stoptheseam.com. And if you use the promo code SNIPSNAP, you get 29% off your kit. Sounds like a good deal to me, folks. What a sponsor. Anyway, the Cage Fact. We all know, and I'll shout out to the Bradley Blotter, who's a fan of the show and a friend, for reminded me of this Cage fact. But as we know, Nic Cage has owned a lot of different exotic style pets. A monitor lizard, a crow. He's got eccentric taste in that regard. Well, one of the pets he owned, I guess you can call it a pet, was an octopus. And I can't confirm if he still has it or not because he hasn't mentioned it in a while on interviews and stuff, but he bought an octopus to put in his home a while ago because he enjoyed their mystery and the way they move around and the fact that they look like they have like no bones and they can get out of jars in and out of jars and stuff like that. And he wanted to use their motion and like their sort of rhythm and how they go about doing life to inspire him, to give him sort of fuel and things to think about when it came to his acting style, like how they flow in the water, how they get in and out of different seemingly difficult areas, and he wanted to take that sort of as a mindset in how he acts, like going with the flow and finding creative ways to portray a character in a certain situation and stuff like that. And that's helped shape his nouveau shamanic acting style that he created. And I want you to picture this because I certainly have. I want you to picture Nic Cage, and we all know what that looks like. And now I want you to picture him staring at a octopus tank in the water, watching this thing with the 8 octopods, tentacles, and what have yous, doing its thing in the water, suctioning onto shit, getting into underneath rocks and through crevices and what have yous. And then picture Nic Cage just like downloading all that information. And then he goes out there and he does a movie like Bad Lieutenant or Face Off or any one of his films, any one of his roles. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. So that's the Cage fact. Thank you again for the reminder from the Bradley Blotter. Appreciate that. Move on over to the Junction. Spin the logo up. This is sort of a hodgepodge of stuff. Not much to really talk about in that regard, but updates on life and the world and what have you. I'm not talking about politics stuff. We need a little less of that in our lives. I will say this very quickly, though. It's not that crazy, okay? The internet and the media is pushing out things are crazy. The world is the country's on fire, this and that. It's just not, in reality, it's just not. If you close your laptop, turn your phone off, and just go outside, it's not that crazy. Just like it wasn't that crazy when Joey B was in town and when he was in the White House. Okay? Go outside, hang out with your friends, go for a walk, go for a hike, read a book, do a crossword puzzle, just turn the technology off, and you'll see how crazy it is. You turn the technology off, and the chaos goes with it. It's crazy how that works. Now, am I saying everything's hunky dory and rainbows and assholes all over the place all the time? No. There are places where they're in situations and they're dealing with shit. I got it. But for the people complaining the most, have it the best. The people who are dealing with actual shit don't have time to go on to the social medias and the internets to complain and bitch and moan and talk about how crazy it is and how dangerous it is and how we're in a constitutional crisis and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And Elon's going after the government and that's a bad thing for some reason. Like, no. If you have that much time to post and bitch and whine and write these diatribes in your stories, you have the time to not do it and go out and do something else with your lives. Follow the big three. Number 2 of the big three. Go touch some grass. Breathe in some fresh air. Get some sun. Go play in the snow if you live up north. Just turn the computers and the laptops and the TVs off for a little bit each day. And you'll see, oh, shit. The fire's out. How miraculous. So that's all I'm going to say about the political goings-on right now. Go get outside. Anyway, we got more important, serious shit to deal with here in the LPDS universe. Okay? Because we got a potential conflict, a potential war with the Roachies. Although I don't think there's actually a war going on. I got back from my road trip, and I had about 5 to 10 tiny dead Roachies throughout the perimeter of inside the house. And at first I was like, okay, it's war. We're back. We're back in the combat zone. But there was a week of very cold weather and snow. And from what I gathered, the intel I gathered around the neighborhood and, the chatter, as they say in TV shows, that's what they were trying to escape. They're not built for that kind of weather down here. And then they died anyway because they crossed over my defenses, and that kills them. And they don't know that's the invisible death. That's what gets them. And I pride myself on that. So I'll let them come on inside, Roachies, because that's the last thing you'll ever do or see. You'll see my face smiling, standing up over you as you are falling to your death. Because I got this shit on lockdown when it comes to the Roachies. So it was initial nerves, but I took the LPDS step back, took a deep breath, assessed the situation, and realized we're good to go. But not all was good to go. My dishwasher crapped out on me. I talked about it, I believe, several episodes ago before I left for New Jersey. I was having a leak, and I thought it was the outbound pipe that's connected to the kitchen sink and the dishwasher that goes out into the sewage. So I had a plumber come in, Carlos, great guy, real hard worker. He's got thick, calloused hands. He's been doing plumbing. He's been plumbing shit for a long time now. So he knows what he's doing. He came in and he unclogged the pipe, and it was clogged. Okay? It was very clogged, and I knew that. And I've been trying to figure out ways to keep my pipe from clogging up for a long time now. I barely use my garbage disposal. I have an additional sort of filter like on the drain of my sink. I don't dump any like oil down the sink anymore, no coffee, nothing like that. I try to keep it clean, but for whatever reason, that pipe gets clogged up pretty quickly around here. And maybe I don't know if it's because it's smaller or what, but I'm trying to work through it. But Carlos gets in there with the big snake, and he does his thing, and he pulls out the snake, and he pulls out his tools and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, Mr. John, you got all this olive oil, this coagulated oil. What are you using? Where is this oil coming from?" I was like, "Carlos, I'm a greaseball Italian. First of all, everything gets cooked in olive oil. You have to. Second of all, I am olive oil. It seeps out of my pores. You don't smell it on me right now? Like I take a shower and the oil goes down into the drain and into that pipe. That's what that is. It's coagulated Libretti. I don't know what you want me to do about it." And he's like, shit, Mr. John, you got to do something about this. And I don't know why I'm doing that accent because he didn't sound anything like that. But he did call me Mr. John. And I got to do something about this. So he told me, he's like, "Listen, don't, the whole Drano and liquid plumber, it ruins the pipes. Not these PVC pipes, my friend. These PVC pipes were built for this shit, and that liquid plumber and that Drano was built for these pipes. Was created so it didn't. So every once in a while, dump a little of that in there, get a little vinegar and club soda, and dump that in there, break the shit up on a regular basis, hot water and soap, get it going through for a little bit, once every couple of weeks, and that'll get the gunk off the side of the pipes. It'll get all the oil, it'll uncoagulate and slide it through to the sewers, and then the raccoons who live in my sewer at the end of my driveway can go and bathe in the olive oil. And they can become Italian as well. And they can slick back their hair and do a lot of these hand motions and yell at their wives. And all will be good in the world again. So we got a plan. We got a way ahead for that. But the dishwasher was still leaking. He left. And later that night, I run the dishwasher and it's leaking out the bottom. And I was like, God damn it, what did I do wrong this time? It's still busted. Well, long story short, the heating element in my dishwasher bent somehow. I don't know if it got so hot it melted down. I don't know what happened. But it bent and it was touching the bottom floor of the dishwasher, which was a plastic drum inside. And it melted the plastic, and there was a hole in the dishwasher, and the water was leaking out as I was running it. So it was no longer a clog. Now it was this, how you doing? This hole. So I have to get a new dishwasher now. And at first I was pissed. I was like, damn it. What am I need that money for other things, for the business, for Randy to go impress women on Valentine's Day. I need that money. And I was like, damn it, what the hell am I going to do? Well, I took the LPDS step back. I took a breath. I was like, it's going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to get a nice dishwasher with a metal inside, a metal stainless steel drum, and that shit's not going to leak anymore. Everything's going to be hunky-dory again, no problem. So small hurdles, folks. And I keep getting shit. Oh, this is what it's almost the same set. It's like it's like the media took over people's brains. Whenever you talk about shit going on in your house, and the first response is, the joys of home ownership. And you know my take on that. Yeah, when you rent, you don't have to you don't have to pay for that shit unless you cause the problem, and then you have to fight your landlord about it. But you still have to deal with that shit. And guess what? While it might not be your money, it's also not on your time anymore either. Forget about the whole fact that you're not building equity on a rental. And there is future investment asset potential when owning a house. Yeah, you got to deal with this shit. You got to do it yourself. And that sucks, especially in the moment when you're trying to wash your dishes and you realize you burned a hole in your damn dishwasher. And now you have to go wash your dishes in the sink. You fill up the damn dishwasher thinking you're good to go. Now you got to do it late at night because you need those dishes. You got to do it, and then you got to go get a new dishwasher as soon as possible, and then you got to pay for it. That sucks. I got it. I had to get a new HVAC system recently too. That sucked because I had to pay for that. But guess what? Yeah, I'm paying for that stuff, but I got it fixed. And guess what? I got a new dishwasher. And guess what happened? If you guys don't remember from 3 years ago almost, well, I had a great landlord in Maryland. A great landlord. We had a good relationship. I lived there in that place for 6 years. That was the longest I've ever lived in a place since growing up in New Jersey. And that was the same landlord the whole time. That's the first time I've ever done that. But the air conditioning crapped out and it needed to be replaced. And what happened? Yeah, I didn't pay for it. The landlord paid for it. But I was a month and a half in the summer without air conditioning. I had a fan, and then eventually the landlord brought me a window unit for the last couple weeks before it got sorted out. A month and a half. And that was with a good landlord. Now go get a slumlord or just even a mediocre landlord who doesn't give a shit about stuff like that. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to sit here for weeks and weeks on end because my landlord thinks, oh, well, you have a sink, so you don't need to worry about this until I want to worry about it. I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't like dealing with that. I don't like dealing with, oh, sorry, sir, you live on the 10th floor? You live on the 25th floor of this apartment in New York? Congrats, by the way. You're doing well, I guess. But the elevator's out. There's only one working elevator, and it takes about 20 minutes to get down to your floor every time. Or you could take the stairs. Oh, and good luck scheduling, the service elevator to move furniture up and down because that's the only working elevator. So everybody needs that elevator all the time. I don't want to deal with that shit. Okay? I'll pay the money now up front because now I have a working HVAC system. I got a new dishwasher on my time. Oh, and by the way, the roaches and the rodents are taken care of because I don't have to wait for a landlord to come on his time to hire pest control or to do it himself or to give me the money to do it. So that's my personal opinion. That's the give and the take, and that's why I don't, when it comes to home ownership, I lean on the side of home ownership. For me, it works better for me. Now, will I own forever? No, maybe not. I've always thought, I floated the idea of renting this place out to somebody, to a family or something, and then living, in an apartment or a cheaper rental to get this mortgage paid for faster, and then save a little bit money by by renting a cheaper place, not having to pay as much as I do now. And that way, that when the faster this mortgage gets paid off, obviously the faster this becomes an asset to me, a total asset. So I floated those ideas. I'm not opposed to renting. Obviously, I've rented my whole life, and I'd go back and do it again. But I prefer the home ownership, and I don't need to hear the joys of home ownership. Yeah, I got it, dude. All right, you could say the same thing for the joys of renting. You're at the fucking beck and call of your handler, and sometimes the time and the dealing with the bullshit of that is a lot worse than the money that you have to deal and doing it yourself on the homeownership side. There's a balance. There's a give and take. There's pros and cons to both. I am a little bit more on the homeownership side. So you can spare me the joys of homeownership. Got it. That's not going to deter me from keeping my home or buying a home in the future. If anything, more people should be caring about buying homes to prevent like the big three companies from buying up all the homes, all the hedge funds, the BlackRocks, the State Streets, the Vanguards. I know I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, but they're buying up swaths of land and neighborhoods to own all the homes, all the residential areas, to keep people renting it under their thumb. I don't want to do that either. So, anyway, I got a new dishwasher, folks. Moving on. Man, I only have 3 things I want to talk about, and who knows how long it's going to take. We had a bit of a situation here in the neighborhood. A bit of a do-to-do, if you will, when I got back. I thought it was going to be bad. It had potential to be as bad as it gets, I'll say. I'm home a couple days, and one morning, this sleazebag-looking guy is farting around my driveway and my neighbor's driveway. He comes up and he rings my bell, and I have a doorbell camera, so I didn't answer it. I let him go. Because he wasn't wearing a vest. He didn't have a clipboard. He didn't do anything to even remotely present himself as some sort of official, person of any kind, whether he worked for AT&T or the phone lines or the power company or was a salesman. He was just a guy wearing a tank top, a baseball cap. He had a notepad in his hand, a tiny little handbook, and a backpack. And he looked like T-Bag from Prison Break. So, yeah, I'm not answering that. Well, I'm watching the camera, of course, and this guy goes around from the front door, around off camera, and disappears. And I thought he was coming into my yard. So, we're not having that. So I assess the perimeter. I grab my baseball bat. I grab my guard dog, and we go outside. Come to find out, he's not in my yard. Thank God for him. But he's in my neighbor's yard, and that's also a fenced-in yard, so he went through the fence into their property, snooping around their yard. And no shit, as he's walking in the back, just doing something, my neighbor pulls in. Now, this is the house where the super old people lived, and then the husband died. He never told me his wife was still alive, and she's still alive. Well, she's been in a nursing home for a long time now, so nobody's been living in the house. But the son and daughter have come by weekly to pick up the mail, get the house cleaned up and ready because she's supposed to be moving back in. That's a different story. I'm not going to get into because I don't want to air out the personal lives too much of that family. Long story short, though, she's not moving back in. They had to sell the house. She's still alive, though. It's a whole debacle on that end, and I feel bad for the son going through it all at the same time. It seems like. But he pulls in, and I hadn't met the guy. I met the daughter before. I hadn't met him, and then he's older. I go out there in the front. I was like, hey, listen, we haven't met. I'm the neighbor. I live right here. Just want to let you know. Right now, you got a guy in your backyard, in your fenced-in backyard. He's in there snooping around right now. And he goes, right now? I go, right now, buddy. He's there right now. I got this bat because I thought he was in my yard, but he's in your yard right now. And this guy looks at me. First I see he's strapped. He's got a gun in his jean pocket in a holster. And he goes, well, I can't really shoot anyone right now because I'm on the clock at work, so I wouldn't be good. I want to deal with that. So I guess I'll just call the cops. Now, there was a part of me, I don't want anyone dying for no reason. Okay? If my life is threatened, I'm gonna do what I can to get out of the situation. If somebody dies, it's survival at that point. But a small part of me, a small part, like a tiny, like a little tit hair part of me was like, man, I kind of wish this guy was off the clock so we could pump this guy's guts full of lead. But, I got rid of that thought real quick. So I was like, okay, listen, I'm going back inside. Let me know if you need anything. I'll looking out though. I'll be apprised of the situation. Well, as he's on the phone with the cops, telling them what the deal is, this sleazeball walks out into the front yard, and the way the gate of the backyard opens up, it opens right up into the guy's driveway. And then I hear my neighbor screaming at this guy, "What the fuck are you doing in my yard? Who the hell are you?" And I can't hear what T-Bag is saying because he's speaking all quiet. But my neighbor, he's got a phone in one hand and his gun in the other. And he's like, you're not saying another word. You're not moving. I got the cops on the way right now. Don't even think about weaseling your way out of this situation until we get an actual explanation. Or I could shoot you. Okay? You can wait for the cops, or I could shoot you if you try to escape. Take your pick. So he's holding off. He's got the phone with the cops. He calls in. I guess they're on the way. And then the guy tries to take his backpack off. And my neighbor's like, "Hey, I told you not to move." And now I'm out there with the bat and I'm ready to defend. Now, why did I bring a bat? I have a gun. I could have easily grabbed my gun. But first, my neighbor had a gun. Good to go. We don't need all the guns in there. That's not safe. Okay? I don't know how trained he is with weaponry. Okay? I don't want to be any sort of. We don't want to put other people in danger here. Just because you're allowed to have a gun doesn't mean you should always possess and have the gun on you at all times, especially if you're not trained. Who knows what's going on? Anyway, he had one. We were good there. Also, my bat I have it out on the doorstop, and then when I go to bed, I have it right next to my bed because it's a quick thing to grab. Okay, I leave my gun in a different spot usually. Maybe I should put it in a more easily accessible spot when I'm alone. If I don't have people over or kids here, because then it's easier to access in case I need it. But I keep it away in a safe spot, and it would have been a pain in the ass to go grab it. The bat's right there. Plus, that's the bat I used in that DC Men's Summer League when we were the Ballstein Brewers. And if you remember, I think I talked about it a long time ago. Myself, the Bone Crusher, and the Wet Cat were in that league. We were top 10, top 5 in the league in every offensive category. Every single one. The whole league, not just the team. We were the best on the team by far. but I batted like 600 with that thing. Okay? And if T-Bag was going to do anything stupid, he was going to catch the barrel of that. At least 60% of my swings, he was catching barrel. I was locked in. I was dialed in with that bat. And don't think I don't forget it. Don't think I don't forget how to swing it. Especially against that. If we're talking about competitive pitching, I'm rusty. I'm a little rusty. Got it. But if I have to swing against this sleazeball, yeah, I'm taking him down. You're gonna wish I had a gun to put you out of your misery, because I'm breaking every bone in your body. So I was fully confident. I felt protected and safe and ready to rock and roll with that bat in case things went south. So the cops came. He didn't resist. He just stood there. He gave him his stuff. They cuffed him. They put him in the car. They went through his backpack. They read through all his notes in his little notepad. And a couple hours later, they had him in the car. They finally let him out. My neighbor had to leave. He had to go back to work. He was on the clock. He couldn't kill anybody. And so they just let him go afterwards. I don't know what happened. I didn't hear anything. They didn't interview me. As soon as the cops leave, the sleazeball comes back to my house to ring the bell. Now this time I'm answering. Not the door, but the camera. I was like, dude, what do you want? I said, you saw me there. Like, I saw you get picked up by the cops. Why would you think to come back here? What do you want? And he goes, I want to know what address this house is. I was like, dude, you're standing in front of the house with the numbers in front of your face. They can't be 4 inches from your face right now. Now, I wasn't going to say, like, none of your business. It's all over my house, okay? It doesn't have to be his business to see it. So it's right in front of your eyes, dude. Now tell me what you want and why you're snooping around here and why you thought it was a good idea to go into somebody's property like that and trespass. And all he said was, I got the wrong address. I got the wrong street, I guess. And that was it. He was gone. Now, at first, again, I was like, now I have to get more guns and get ready for war for real this time. But I did the LPDS step back. I took a deep breath. I took that step back. And the cops read through his notepad. Now, this guy, unless he was playing the role of his life, this guy was not tricking the cops. He was not taking secret notes of people. Like, clearly, there was no code or whatever. So whatever his notes were saying were not, this house has an open sliding door in the back. Like, there was no indication that he was scoping out places to squat or rob or whatever. I still don't know what he was doing because I don't know what he said to the cops. And I haven't seen my neighbor since. He hasn't been back himself yet, so I haven't gotten a chance to talk to him. But they had him for 3 hours in the car. They searched all his stuff. They called, I guess, his employer, whatever, and then they let him go. And there was a bunch of cops here, so I had to give him the benefit of the doubt. Even if we were dealing with one stupid, lazy cop, I don't think the 4 other cops that were there, or the 3 other cops that were there, were going to be all stupid and lazy and just let a criminal go. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think so. I'm sure some people who hate cops think that, but I certainly don't. So I trusted the cops, and the guy hasn't been back since. It's been 2 weeks now, and he hasn't been back since. But I'm telling you, you get that feeling when when you think somebody is physically putting you in danger. I would have been fucking Barry Bonds on this guy. And I would have smiled on my way into court to deal with the trial for whatever I ended up doing to this guy. I'll deal with it. What's that saying? I'd rather be tried by 12 than carried off by 6. Now, I'm not trying to be that dramatic here. That's obviously, I don't think it was going to get to that. But yeah, like if this guy was a real problem, this is my home. This is where I live and I sleep and my friends come over. If I think you're a threat, I'm taking you down. Legally, like we did with Operation what was it, Gate Gambit or whatever we called it. Or if I'm feeling physically in danger, physically I'm taking you down. We're going to war. Luckily, it was none of that. It was just an idiot who was probably trying to do something legitimate, but he was an idiot and thought, yeah, I'll just go and snoop around somebody's property like that. And not remember that I live in Texas and that could have been my resting place, my final resting place. So that's what we got going on here in the neighborhood. Just when you thought things were going to cool down when London Boy disappeared. By the way, a whole shit show going on with the house, the London Boy's old house. There's not enough to keep you updated on, but let's just say a real estate person bought the house from the family and they're currently redoing the whole house, top to bottom. But the real estate, the purchase was shifty, if you will. So as I get more intel on that, I'll keep you guys apprised on that whole situation. But just when you think, it can't get any weirder in the LPDS universe, bam, another story for you guys. So, but I feel safe. Like I'm not worried. I don't think like, oh, the neighborhood's really getting dangerous down here. No, I'm fine. Everything's fine. The neighborhood is fine. My neighbors, even though most of them are old retirees, they're all strapped to the gills. This is Texas after all. And basically all of them are all retired military. Basically, so we're good. Okay? No real threat is coming into this area. They know better. So I feel safe. I feel fine. But the stories, they make for good, good laughs. So there's that. The last thing I want to talk about very quickly, the Yankees. Very quickly. The pitchers and catchers started down in spring training. And the Yankees, once again, clearly must be banking on a shitty American League so that they can cruise into the playoffs again and not have to actually be good. Because they still have glaring holes in their offensive lineup that they have not filled. They filled some of the smaller hole, this is what's crazy. Okay, we all know they didn't get Soto, which is fine. Okay, they shouldn't even offer that much money to begin with. He's not worth that much money. It was crazy that he was able to get that because the Mets are never going to get that money back. And the Yankees certainly wouldn't have either. Not that they care, they're both super rich franchises, whatever. But their biggest holes were first base, lineup-wise, first base, third base. Really second base, too. And shorts. I mean, their lineup was not that good. Volpe was not good at the plate. So way too inconsistent and below average. Jazz Chisholm, way too inconsistent and below average. And then they had no first base and no third base. Yes, they got Cody Bellinger for the outfield. Decent. That's fine. He'll hit some home runs. He'll be okay. He's a pretty good fielder. They're hoping the new guy, Jason Dominguez, actually starts playing well and up to his potential. That's a hope. That's great. That's their course of action. That's how they're going to solve their problems, on hope alone. So hopefully he does well. They still got Judge. Don't know if he's going to get hurt or not. Hopefully not. And Stan is a DH. We all know Stan. Stanton's doo-doo in the regular season. He relies on he needs the team to get him to the playoffs, and then he'll take it from there. That's Stan. Love him to death, but he's doo-doo in the regular season. And then they got Paul Goldschmidt for first base, he's 37. Now, in real life, no, that's easy. That's nothing. But in baseball and sports years, he's an old guy. He's washed. He's been on the downward slope of his career for a couple years now. And that's not just him. That's most baseball players. They peak 33, 34, 35 years old, and then it's a whole downhill. So they got that. They got another bat who's going to probably bat 260 with a couple home runs, maybe. And then they have no third baseman. They're banking on Oswaldo Cabrera, who's not a third baseman and stinks at hitting. I love him to death, but he stinks. And then DJ LeMahieu, who has not been good for a number of years now, which sucks because there was a time where he was unstoppable at the plate. He could do no wrong, and in the field, too. You could put him in any position, and he would be arguably the best player on the field at any given position at any time. And he was, every time he got to the plate, you almost knew, like, oh, at least we'll get a hit from him. And he turned a complete 180, has been the exact opposite. The complete exact opposite of that last year. Now, I know he's had injuries. And I sort of blame the Yankees a lot for that. I blame a little bit of him, but I blame the Yankees too. I know the mindset is I gotta compete. That's, I'm obsessed with competing and winning and this and that. I gotta get back out there as fast as I can. So that's on DJ. I know that mindset. I've been there. I do that all the time still. But the Yankees, he's had the same injury for 3 years now, it seems like. The same broken foot injury. What is their training staff doing? What are they doing to rehab him? And how many more times do they have to quick turn his rehab for him to get hurt again before they realize, hey, this is not the right way to do this. We're getting nothing out of this. But they're going to throw him back out there again this year and hopes he turns it around. Another hope player. Goldschmidt's a hope guy. Dominguez, hope guy. LeMahieu and Cabrera, hope guys. Jazz Chisholm, hope guy. He'll probably be pretty good in the field. He's a second baseman. Volpe, let's hope he does better and hits more consistently. Austin Wells was a rookie catcher last year. Let's hope he does well again. Let's hope Judge doesn't get hurt because he's our only consistent bat. Let's hope Cody Bellinger does at least remotely as good as he's done with the Cubs and the other teams he's played for in the National League. Let's hope we make it to the playoffs so Stanton can actually be good. What kind of fucking team is that? And I don't want to hear, oh, they made it to the World Series. What are you complaining about? The league was down. We said it all year long. The American leagues, they got lucky. You can't build a successful franchise off of luck and hope. It's only a matter of time before the other teams like the Red Sox and the Orioles were good last year. They just shit the bed. They had injuries and some inconsistent performances of guys who were better than the Yankees players. And Boston, I know that everyone doesn't like their GM and thinks he sucks, but they just got Alex Bregman, who might be a little bit on the downslope, but he's certainly better than Oswaldo fucking Cabrera, who I love, but he stinks. So what happens when those teams start to dial it in like they already are? Then what? Then what, Cashman? Then you're scrambling to play catch-up. Guess who else is going to be goddamn good again this coming season? The Houston Astros. You think for 1 second they're not going to weasel their way back into the playoffs and be a contender? And they bend you over a barrel every time they play you in the playoffs, so you better hope that they lose on an early round. That's not how you build success and championships and winning teams. In any aspect of life, in sports, in business, in relationships, any aspect. You don't build on hope, potential, and luck. That's a foundation destined for failure and collapse. Destined for it. And why does a jabroni like me, why am I the only one who sees that? Well, I'm not. I know you guys in the Junction are. I know the Creature is. Oh, the Wet Cat. All the Yankee fans that I know inside the circle, in the Brotherhood, they get it. But what's the play here? What's the real play? Is it just a money thing to save money to penny pinch? And they don't really care about winning and competing in the playoffs. They just have to be just good enough to shut the fans up as long as they keep rolling in the profits. Is that what Cashman's really doing? But holy shit, does their team, they have no chance in being the empire that we wanted them to be, like back in the day, if they keep running out these garbage teams on hope, luck, and potential. It's embarrassing. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. And that's all I got to say about anything today, folks. Before we go, though, I'm heated. I am heated now. Damn it. Anyway, I'll get over it. We'll be fine. We'll be fine, folks. Before we go, really quickly, the big three, the three pillars of staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being and spreading that positivity and goodness throughout the land. I'm going to go follow the big three right now after this. Number one, exercise every day. Do something, at least one thing every day to improve your fitness physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. Don't be negative. When the opportunity arises to be negative or shitty or controversial or chaotic or whatever, take the LPDS step back, remove yourself from the situation, and go focus on more positive, productive things with your day. It's the hardest one to do, though, because it's attached to your emotions. And and the negative, aggressive, angry emotions are a lot harder to detach from and quell than anything else. So I get it. But this should help. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And if you focus on that, if you think about at least one good thing in your day, one good thing in your life each day, and how shitty your life would be like without that thing, that'll put you in that state of gratitude, and you'll be able to detach from any negative emotions, so then you can follow number two and not be a shitty person. And then if you couple that with exercising every day, physically, mentally, or emotionally, then I promise you, each and every day you do that, I promise you, you'll become a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being and be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit those notifications, tell your friends and enemies, hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Oh, very quickly, I hate to say it. I forgot to mention this earlier. The Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. I forgot it's been weeks since I recorded. The Philadelphia Eagles won the damn Super Bowl, and it's exactly what we said this is how they were going to win. They would have to blow them out. I can't believe I forgot about that. They had to blow them out. And that's exactly what they did. They dog-walked the Chiefs in every single way from start to finish, and they were just a better team that day. So I hate to say it because I hate the Eagles, but I like Barkley. I don't mind Jalen Hurts. Shout out to LPDS fan, The Skuse, who's an Eagles fan. Congrats on your fan victory. Now that's all I got. Hit the hotline, 202-670-1114. I love the hotline calls. Hit it, 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.